What's up, guys? This is the Osmo.com Night Shift Podcast. We're talking the big 14-game Friday slate for August 17th. Get to Osmo.com. Check out everything we have to offer. We will have a ton of content out for this slate. Osmo himself will be posting his rankings, the ownership projections in the morning. We will have the MLB strategy video at around 9 Eastern with myself and Josh Engelman. I'll be in the live stream as well with Chris at 6 Eastern leading up until lock. Osmo will be doing his top stack article since it is a Friday. We're going to have a lot of great stuff for you guys. Spotlight hitters, pitchers, and stacks. I don't know if I mentioned that, but anyways, it'll be a usual day of content. You won't have a shortage of stuff to read and listen to. All right, let's get into this slate. Again, 14 games, going to go through, mention each of the starting pitchers, give some quick reaction after going through this slate very early. So some weather concerns, a lot can change by the time you listen to this. So just keep your eye out for any breaking news, player injuries, all that usual stuff. Come into the chat with myself and Josh. You can ask us questions in the strategy video. Let's go to Miami and Washington. A good one to start it off. Dan Straley going up against Max Scherzer, a 2.5 run total for the Marlins. That's one of the lowest we've seen all season. Mad Max is in prime form right now, so there's no reason to stop going to him here. He's 12.6. That's affordable. I don't think you're going to have much of a problem fitting him in. There are some decent punt options, or at least mid-tier options, and some value stacks. So Max is an awesome play. I mean, no reason to refrain from him, in my opinion. That run total really says it all. Tons of upside here against the Marlins. Straley on the other side, allowing still 33% line drive rate against lefties this year. It's one of the highest rates in the league. And stop me if you've heard this before, but I'm going to be stacking the Nationals again. A 5.1 run total for the Nats. They're one of my favorites. Again, I keep playing Nationals. I keep stacking against Dan Straley. That's what the numbers are telling me to do. So Harper and Soto, two of my very favorite plays on the huge slate. They'll be in a ton of my lineups. The Nats are easily a top 3 stack for me, and maybe even the top stack by the time we get to lock. Toronto and New York in Yankee Stadium here. Marcus Stroman going up against Lance Lynn. Stroman is 5,700, but just not missing enough bats for me. He's going into Yankee Stadium. That's not usually a recipe for success. I know he's had recent good results, but I don't expect that here in Yankee Stadium. I really like Aaron Hicks. I really like Giancarlo Stanton for 5,300 against Stroman. Wind blowing out and 80 degrees out to left. So I'm just envisioning a Stanton bomb off of Stroman, even righty-righty. I know Stanton just crushes lefties, but he's no slouch against righties either. So those two guys I like a lot, Stanton, Hicks, and then I think I mentioned Torres. If I didn't, that's another guy I really like in this matchup. Lance Lynn looks really good so far. The swinging strike rate is up since coming over to the Yankees. It's over 10% on the season. I would expect him to have some run support here, and then a lot of righties. You've got Russell Martin, Aledmys Diaz, Kevin Pillar, Richard Urena. Urena is a switch hitter, sorry. Devin Travis, Randall Grichuk. So at least 5, according to this projected lineup, which is favorable for Lance Lynn. You need him to go like 5-6 innings, and that Yankee bullpen should lock down the win for him if he gives him a chance. So I don't mind Lynn in the mid-tier. There are some other guys I have around or maybe above him, but he'll be a guy that I mix in for sure against the majority righties for the Blue Jays. Cubs and Pirates, we've got Cole Hamels going up against Trevor Williams. This one is kind of an avoid for me all around. Besides Hamels, a little bit, he just dominated this team in 5 2/3 with 9 strikeouts. Wasn't getting any help from the ump. I think 2 or 3 starts ago. It was his first start with the Cubs, so maybe it was 2 starts ago. Looked incredible, just swing and miss stuff all over the place. He was dominant again against the Nationals on Sunday Night Baseball earlier in the week. So Hamels looks really, really good right now. It's showing in the plate discipline numbers, and I have no problem taking a shot on him here against the Pirates, who will have some lefties in the lineup, probably Polanco and Dickerson up top. Trevor Williams is 6K. He's actually, if you just look at the results, like run prevention, he's been really, really good. Allowed 0 earned runs in 4 out of his last 5 starts. So I'm not on Williams because he doesn't really have strikeout upside. It's raining, or there's supposed to be rain for this game, and the Cubs do have some scary bats, but I don't really want to stack against Williams either. So this one kind of in a void spot. Tampa Bay and Boston. We got Ryan Stanek going up against Brian Johnson. Stanek is 4K. I would not be playing him if I were you. He doesn't go past an inning or 2. So I don't know who's coming in yet for Tampa Bay. I did a quick search and I didn't find anything, but regardless of who it is, you're probably not playing them against the Red Sox, who are in Fenway, wind blowing out, 80 degrees here, 5.5 run total. Mookie Betts back in the lineup if you need any other reasons not to play a pitcher against the Red Sox, especially not one that's starting. So Brian Johnson actually super intriguing to me, 6,800, and all of a sudden the Rays have a pretty lefty-heavy lineup with Bowers and Kiermaier and Wendell. Who knows if G-Man Choi is going to be in there or Brandon Lowe. It's not a very scary lineup, and Johnson, I would expect him to have run support against the Rays bullpen. So I love the Red Sox onslaught here. They were letting Johnson go pretty deep in his starts as of late. 104 and 98 pitches in his last 2, 11 and 6 strikeouts in those starts. Run prevention's been a little bit of an issue for him, but I'm not seeing him have much trouble in this lineup, even if Pham's in there and CJ Cron. Those are 2 bats I think you can deal with. I think Johnson can deal with, so I like him for 6,800 here. San Francisco and Cincinnati, another game with rain, but I'm not really interested in the pitchers anyways. Derek Rodriguez and Anthony Desclafani. Rodriguez is 8,300, way too expensive in this matchup. I think his recent results are a bit of a fluke. Hasn't had a swinging strike rate over 10 in really any of his starts as of late. So he does get pounded by lefties, over 40% hard contact. So Scooter Gennett, Joey Votto, and Mason Williams all in play for me. This red stack is pretty cheap. No one over 4,200, Votto included. My boy Eugenio Suarez is also 4,200. No problem playing him righty here. So if this game looks like it's going to go, I think the Reds are super sneaky for only a 4.3 run total. Just really cheap and against a pitcher that I don't really believe in. Desclafani is, again, not someone I'm going to play, but this is a really good Brandon Belt spot. Desclafani gives up a ton of hard hits to lefties as well, and obviously a much better park the Giants get to play in. So I'm going after Belt for 4,200, but probably not going with the full Giants stack. So again, keep an eye on this for weather. It's a little bit more interesting if it looks like we might have a chance to get some innings at least in a window of play. Is what I was looking for there. Baltimore and Cleveland, David Hess going up against Carlos Carrasco. This one is pretty easy. You're not playing Hess. You probably want some Indians bats. They're going to be pretty chalky, I would think, but looking at the pricing, it may be tough for people to fit in Scherzer, even with a punt pitcher, and you go Scherzer, you're going to have a tough time fitting in Lindor, Ramirez, and Brantley. So I'm interested to see the ownership, what the guys behind the scenes think people will be going to, whether it's the top price pitchers like Scherzer or the top bats like the Cleveland bats. But regardless, they are very, very good plays. Hess, not someone you're worried about missing bats, especially, and the Indians are elite when they're in their home park. Carrasco also elite. I mean, no problem rolling him out for 11-2. He's a pretty good consolation prize if you can't get to Scherzer. $1,400 discount, and his swinging strikes are off the charts as of late. Like at least 14% in each of his last 6 starts, I believe. Carrasco is just balling out and now gets a righty-heavy lineup. Baltimore, one of the worst teams in the MLB. He's another guy who we would expect to have some run support, at least at some point, going up against David Hess on the other side. So I love Carrasco. That's not going to be an unpopular opinion. He may even be higher owned than Scherzer if people are prioritizing bats. They may not be able to get up to him. Colorado and Atlanta. We've got Kyle Freeland going up against Sean Newcomb. Freeland 8,100, Newcomb 7,100. This one is tough for me because I respect both of these guys. I can see the case for wanting to play some bats. Newcomb is scary for me because you got LeMahieu, Arenado, and Story, 3 guys I really, really respect against lefties. So even for 7,100, probably off Newcomb. And then Freeland doesn't get blown up too often. He's really good against lefties. And you've got Freeman and Markakis, who are 2 of my favorite parts of the Braves stack when I want to stack them. They're right in the middle of that order. So I don't really want to go to either side of this game. Hoping it stays quiet, wind blowing in here. I'm just hoping we see like a 4-3 game, nothing goes crazy, at least right now. I'm curious to see if Josh is going to be on this game in any form. Angels and Rangers, some uncertainty for the Angels here. I'm seeing Despagne for the Angels. I don't know if that's going to be the case. There's no total for this game, but I'm assuming it's going to be safely in the double digits. We saw an 11.5 total on Thursday, and with Minor on the hill, and who knows for the Angels, it will likely be around there again. So I'll just talk about Minor. Not someone I'm worried about stacking against. Gives up very quality contact to righties. And so these Angels bats are once again firmly in play. David Fletcher only 3,300. Right now I'm seeing him in the 2 spot. If that's the case, that's really tough to pass up on. Even though I'm not the biggest Fletcher fan, he looks okay to me against lefties. So for 3,300 in a game that's going to have a huge total, that's pretty tough to pass up. And then after that, you've got the obvious Justin Upton. Pujols is in play for 3,700. A pretty good value stack here for the Angels, assuming they have a total at or above 5. Kansas City and Chicago. Jake Junis going up against James Shields. Junis is a guy that's had a couple really nice starts, I believe, against the Cubs and the Cardinals, I want to say. Let's see here. Yeah, Cubs and Cardinals. Looking at just his game logs, 5 innings, 8 strikeouts against the Cubs, 1 earned run. 6 innings, 8 strikeouts against the Cardinals, 1 earned run again. The plate discipline stuff was pretty good, above average chase rate in both starts. He was, for the most part, getting ahead of guys' first pitch strike rate and then double-digit swinging strike rate as well. Now it's a White Sox team that is striking out more than anyone over the last month, and Junis is certainly on the table for me. Just want to see his ownership. People love to attack the White Sox, and for good reason. Junis can be volatile, but coming off 2 nice starts and getting more swings and misses lately, I'm definitely considering taking some chances on Junis in tournaments here. James Shields, 6,300. I should mention, this is a really fun Daniel Palka spot, even though I like Jake Junis. I think Palka has a chance to really hit Junis hard, so I'll say that about the White Sox bats. James Shields, 6,300, going up against Kansas City. The Royals have been not striking out a ton against righties lately. Against lefties, they've been pretty atrocious. You guys kind of know my take on Shields. Whenever the opposing team is going to be popular against him, I usually come in well underweight. And even sometimes play James Shields. I doubt we see crazy chalk on Kansas City, being that it's a 14-game slate. And because there's only a 4.4 run total for Kansas City right now, but the wind is blowing out to right at about 10 miles an hour, 80 degrees here. I can certainly see the case for Lucas Duda, but I don't really love the rest of the Royals stack. So, again, probably not heavily targeting James Shields as I haven't been doing really all year. Detroit and Minnesota, Matt Boyd going up against Kyle Gibson. Boyd for 7,200. Not going anywhere near him. I'm looking for some Twins bats I want to play. And Eddie Rosario kind of sticks out to me for 4,300. Boyd giving up a lot of hard contact to lefties this year. I don't think Rosario will be popular at all, even if the Twins stack is owned in tournaments. Forsythe will probably be popular. Josh's boy loves Logan Forsythe for whatever reason. I like Tyler Austin for 3,700 at first base. There are a ton of first basemen I like, now that I'm talking through this a little bit. But anyways, I like Austin against lefties. I want to stack up this Twins team, but I don't really know how to do it besides Rosario, Austin, maybe Miguel Sano. They're cheap enough, though, where you don't need them to go nuts, and they're definitely a stack you can fit in with Scherzer or Carrasco. Gibson is 8,500. He's been one of my boys this year, and I want to go to him here. I'm a little bit worried about his recent swinging strikes and chases. He only had a 5% swinging strike rate against the Tigers a couple starts ago, and that was in Detroit. This is obviously in Minnesota, so a little bit different. I haven't checked to see if he's got big home run splits or anything like that. So it was his last start. Okay. So last start, it was 6 days ago, or it'll be 6 days ago by Friday. Was getting ahead, was getting chases, but was not getting swinging strikes, which is a little bit weird. I mean, not something you should really worry about. He was okay against Cleveland in the start prior, even in Cleveland, which is a really tough place to pitch. But I am on Gibson. He's 8,500. I'm interested to see what his ownership is going to be like, because I'll certainly try to be overweight if he's in the 10 to 12% range. And I'm not really going to Tigers bats. Brewers and Cardinals, we have Freddie Peralta going up against Jack Flaherty. Peralta coming off a pretty disastrous outing, allowed 7 earned runs, now gets a Cardinals team wind blowing out here as well. Not as strong as some other parks, but definitely going to give the ball a little bit of a push. I don't know how I feel about this Cardinals stack, because Peralta has shown the ability to miss bats in a big way this year. 30% K rate on the season, and a lot of righties in this lineup. So I'm not banking on another blow up here for Peralta. He is someone I still respect despite his volatility, and so probably just lukewarm on the Cardinals bats at most. Flaherty is 9,800. Thought he was going to be starting against the Nationals, but obviously he's going to be starting against the Brewers. It's just a really scary lineup to play a pitcher at 10K almost on DraftKings, with Moustakas in there, Yelich, Eric Thames, and then even the righties. Like, I respect Pena and Scope. Aguilar has been crushing all year. So this game is kind of an avoid all around, and I don't feel great about this one. I think I feel better about avoiding Colorado and Atlanta, but these are the two games where I don't see a ton that I want to play, and that worries me a little bit. So more digging to come, and I'm really interested to see what the chat is saying tomorrow morning, if this game is going to be popular or not. Houston and Oakland, Charlie Morton going up against Edwin Jackson. Morton, all the upside in the world. He's 10-1, and anytime he's around 10K, I'm looking to at least consider Charlie Morton. I wish Oakland was striking out more recently. They've got a 203 ISO against righties over the last month, so kind of a dangerous matchup, and Morton actually strikes out a lot more lefties than righties this year. Only 23.8% of righties and well over 30% of lefties. So not saying 23.8 is bad. That's above average, but he really is good at getting whiffs against lefties and not as much against righties. So looking at 6 righties in the projected lineup for Oakland is actually a bit worrisome. I don't know that I'll get to much Morton. I would assume he's going to be the lowest owned of Scherzer, Carrasco, and himself. So I'm assuming he's going to be around 10% owned. I think that's a pretty fair ownership projection just looking at the slate one time. But if you want to take a shot on him, like I said, he's got all the upside in the world. I don't think he's a bad GPP play at all. Probably not going to target many bats against him. Edwin Jackson keeps rolling along. He's 7,800. I don't want to play him here. Astros bats coming to life a little bit, and I just don't believe in the skill set fully, at least not to play him against Houston for 7,800. I think in specific matchups you can target Edwin Jackson, but not one of them here, in my opinion. And just a poor park for the Astros, only a 4.4 run total, under 70 degrees, just not a great hitting environment. Arizona and San Diego, Robbie Ray going up against Joey Lucchesi. Ray is going to be a main talking point for us, I would guess, tomorrow morning, just because he is 7,600. He's in one of the most pitcher-friendly parks in the MLB, going up against a Padres team that has strikeout issues. We know this about San Diego. People love targeting them when they're in Petco, and for good reason. You look at some of these strikeout rates, like you've got Will Myers over 30%, Franmil Reyes 34%, Austin Hedges 34%, Spangenberg, if he's in there, he's around 30%. Renfroe and Hosmer, Margot, these guys are all around average. So a guy like Robbie Ray, who can light it up in just a few innings, I mean, he makes perfect sense for 7,600. I would assume you're going to pay a pretty hefty ownership tax, but I guess we'll see in the morning. He's a perfectly fine play for cash. Going to have to talk through him a little bit more for GPP tomorrow morning and leading up until lock. Lucchesi is 7,700. He's giving up a ton of hard contact to righties, near 43%. So even in a bad park, I'm really looking at Goldschmidt and Pollock as two of my favorite plays on the slate. I hope they're somewhat low owned because people are scared of Petco. But with those two guys, the parks don't matter that much to me. They've grayed out as two of the best hitters against lefties in the entire MLB for me. So I'll be playing healthy amounts of them as mini stacks and each as one-offs. Dodgers and Mariners last game of the night. Walker Buehler going up against Wade LeBlanc. Buehler against the Seattle Bats is a pretty easy avoid for me. I don't really see anyone that I want to play against Buehler. I don't really see this being a great strikeout matchup for Buehler. So 14-game slate, you got to be really picky. I've been trying to be more picky, even MMEing and taking bigger stands on people. And I think this one, at least Buehler against the Seattle Bats, will be an avoid for me. Wade LeBlanc at 6,900. I always talk about his chase rate being well above average, and it is 34%. I think he pitches better at home. And the Dodgers, if you look at them as a team over the last month, I'm pretty sure we did this. I can't remember if it was on the live stream or what. But over the lase month against lefties, the Dodgers, 66 WRC plus, 108 ISO, on-base percentage well under 300. It doesn't really make sense when you have Dozier, Turner, Machado, Matt Kemp. So I think it's kind of enough for me to be off the Dodgers, unless they're going to be crazy low owned for some reason. They have to get ownership, I would think, here against a lefty in LeBlanc. You've got guys that should crush lefties. So unless I'm just completely off and they have no ownership, it's probably going to be one of the first days in a while that I don't go to a Dodgers stack on a huge slate, which is very scary. right when you jump off those teams, it feels like they always go off. But that's what I'm looking at so far for the Dodgers. So that's going to do it for the night shift, guys. Join us tomorrow morning. Check out the premium tab on Osmo.com. Get your subscription for MLB, for NFL. We'll have more sports to come soon. Check out the Top Stack article that comes out about 4 Eastern. This will be a really fun Friday slate. Join us in the strategy video chat. Join us in the live stream chat. And we will see you in the morning.